Gary? Some serious gourmet shit. What flavor is this? That's right, it's the all-hell medium roast private blend. Check out the Geek Grind Coffee Nerdrotic page for our other options like the Decadent, Feathers of Liberty, vanilla-infused flavored coffee. Or if you're looking for something darker, try the Dark Roast FNT blend of the Fellowship. You know what? Just buy all three. GeekGrindCoffee.com. Use discount code Nerdrotic. Huzzah!
I learned a long time ago that there's no sense getting all riled up every time a bunch of idiots give you a hard time. In the end, the universe tends to unfold as it should. Plus, I have a really large penis. That keeps me happy.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Woke, woke.
It looks like Chuck's taking the skin boat to Tuna Town.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
My mind is a raging torrent, flooded with rivulets of thought, cascading into a waterfall of creative alternatives.
God darn it, Mr. Lamar. You use your tongue prettier than a $20 whore.
These are daggers dropped by my men that were slaughtered by an ice troll in the second age. But I do not like to talk of such things. And for you, Legolas, this is a new bow, so that you may kill a troll as quickly as I did, in under 10 seconds. And for Samwise Gamgee, rope forged from the hair of an ice troll that I killed many years ago. And for Frodo, the bottled tears of an ice troll. Did I mention I killed an ice troll many years ago, in under 10 seconds? Fare thee well, my friends, and may these gifts forged from the body of an ice troll that I killed many years ago in the second age in under 10 seconds. Fare you well on your journey.
Nerdrotic.com.
Hello, what is up, everybody? Hail!
Hey, man, I feel like I'm in outer space. Is that the Forbidden Frontiers background?
Oh, whoops. Hang on.
No, it's okay. I love it.
You want to stay with that one? We can stay with this one. It's fine.
Why not? I love it.
Why not? It's spacey. We're going to talk about women drivers in space. Welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner, ladies and gentlemen. It is hump day. Chris and I had to catch up on some stuff before we got started, so apologies for the late start. We will be talking about Ahsoka D's nuts and Disney lies as Star Wars dies. That's what we're going to be talking about today because there's not much else going on, to be honest with you, other than a strike. Looks like it's gonna go on for a while now. So much so that you remember the late night host, Chris? Remember?
Oh my God! Yes, I saw that promo. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic.
I honestly want to thank them. Oh, thank you, content creation gods. That was a gift from heaven. Did you see John Oliver's framing? He's like, I can't even do it. He's like, his head is down here, dude.
Right.
He's got like all this white wall, and these are like professionals.
Well, it was pointed out by, first of all, I just love the comments. The comments
They're
made
so good.
that Jimmy Kimmel's post that was awesome. Just scrolling through the comments always kind of renews my faith in humanity.
It does.
But also was pointed out that this is not being done without help. I'm certain there are producers, there are other
writers,
there are people, there are scabs that are working to pull that off. And also, by the way, all those guys are in SAG-AFTRA. Okay. So they're technically working when they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be on strike. And the thing is this, what's so funny is for every 20 comments that were like, F you, go screw yourself. There was one like, glad you're back. But it was like 20-1 or more on the positive to negative comments. I mean, it was.
What do you say that after our Ahsoka review, we go over some of those comments? Let's do that.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it for fun.
Let's do it for fun.
And real quick, because I saw that you loved Gran Turismo.
I did.
I think I told you, just really solid, great sports movie, video game movie as well. Another recommendation, we're not going to talk about it long, but real quick, Equalizer 3, Denzel Washington. It's freaking badass.
Ooh, I can't wait. I'm going to see it Thursday.
It's a Western. And
a Western.
If you look at it, it's a spaghetti Western, but if you look at it from a certain point of view, it's also an R-rated Batman movie.
A certain point of view.
Right.
Oh, that's badass. So I loved the first one. Second one, not so much. But if this one's good, okay. I'm gonna rewatch the first. I don't think I'm gonna watch the second one. Sorry, but I'm gonna rewatch the first one because it's so good. Denzel, one of the greatest actors of our generation, and kind of a down to earth guy, which is rare from Hollywood. A person I will call an actor. He is an actor. He is gifted at his craft, not an adult pretender. All right, let's see who's here. We got Obi-Wan, like I won a game. We got Eric Kane as Wrench. All the Modrotics are here. You lovely people. I was supposed to go live last night to recap Ahsoka, and there was nothing to talk about. I'm not letting that go. But there wasn't. There wasn't anything that happened. We will break it down. Dude, there was some stupid stuff. But first, let's get back to the people. T1S, I will get to your super chat. Where do actors go to die? The afterlife? Oh, I'll give you that. You earned it. Thank you for the $2. Todd Wright is here. Sonny Kim. Oh, now it's going too fast. Smooth the DJ. Cyfax. I got to slow it down. Drax. Redax. Fats-based man. Joe John. Thank you, Joe John, for having a name I could pronounce. Anthropurion. That's probably a word that I mispronounced badly, but that's okay. Chris Persia is the Canadian Wrench. Todd Wright. Welcome, everybody, to the Nooner. Chris Gore. You know what? I haven't talked to you in a while. We DM'd a couple of times, but this is like a long period. I'm like, I wonder if Chris is mad at me.
No, I'm just kidding. I think I'm busy. I'm going to Dragon Con this weekend.
Yes.
So I'm doing a panel Saturday, I think at 4:30. I'll post on social media. I don't know the room or whatever, but I'm doing a panel at Dragon Con, but I'm really there just to visit my friend Shane Mackey, who's a comedian in Atlanta. And we just like to hang out at the Pulse Bar at the Marriott. If you know Dragon Con, it is nerdy gras. It is so fun. Best cosplay. I'll be taking photos, and I'm just literally going for fun for Labor Day weekend.
I gotta say, man, I drove through Atlanta on the way back from North Carolina. Was not impressed at all.
Well,
it was. I just hate big cities now. I just do. I want no part of. I'll go visit them. I'm going to London, but yeah, I will not spend any long periods of time in them anymore. I'm done. 18 years in one was enough for me. They're not that impressive.
I was fantasy shopping for houses in San Antonio. Because I started doing some research. There's an arts festival in San Antonio.
Yes.
There's a San Antonio Film Festival that's been around for 30 years. There's a big arts community. I'm like, because I'm trying to
There's a good music
if
scene.
I bail on what's that?
There's a good music scene.
music scene, like,
and you're close enough to Austin to not be in Austin, just in case you want to go there for something, but like not being there because Austin's terrible.
Well, I'd like to go to Joe Rogan's comedy club because
it's awesome.
One of the doormen from there reached out to me on Instagram and said, if you ever need to go, let me know. I can hook you up.
The manager watches Friday Night Tights.
Oh, is that it? Okay,
he walked over to me when we were in there, and he's like, "I love your stuff, dude. I watch Friday Night Tights." I'm like,
"Oh, that's cool."
Yes.
So I was just doing some little fantasy research of San Antonio, and if like this mandate nonsense comes back and things go south in California, I'm leaving this state. I can't take it. I'm not going to go through that again. And it's not just the mandates in California, but it's also like the people. It's like I feel like it's the Donald Sutherland version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yes,
that's
the good one.
People, yeah, these people turn into the pod people, and F that, not dealing with it. So just doing some cursory research.
There you go. I mean, that's how we started. You know, we were like kind of looking at other houses in other states for a long time going, someday. And then California saw fit to expedite that process for us. Yeah. So we did. And if you wait a little longer, the housing market's going to bottom out and you might get some cheaper houses,
I'm looking at early next year.
It'll be well bottomed out by then.
Yeah, so that's that's when I'm looking. And then I just want to be like walking distance to like bars, restaurants, and movie theaters. I like to walk everywhere. So
that's cool.
Keeps me fit and young. So
I can't say I'm near anything. Like I can walk to my gym if I need to.
That's good.
Yeah. And a coffee place. And my dentist. Yeah, but that's about it.
There you go.
That's about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
This is going to be long, folks. We're going to talk about Ahsoka. Ahsoka episode 3 dropped. But this was after the news that 14 million bazillion gazillion trillion people watched the first episode. According to Disney. Those numbers are complete bullshit. Back it up with receipts, Disney. Back it up. They called it views, not viewers. I'm sure there's a way they cultivated those views, but it's funny that it happened on the same day that Disney's getting sued again. We'll discuss that after we discuss Ahsoka. But I just want to get out ahead of it. According to Disney, 28 million people watched episode 3 of Ahsoka, which was a grand total of 28 minutes long. Not counting the recap. They say 36 minutes, but there is 5 minutes of credits at the end, and there's about a minute and a half, a little over, of recap and credits that you can skip through in the beginning. So actual content, 28 minutes, roughly the length of your average sitcom from the 70s to 90s or 50s to 90s, your half-hour sitcom with commercials. And nothing happened. So we're 3 episodes in. We're almost halfway through the entire show, and alls we know is some women found some balls, and the balls led them to a ring. That's it. And the ring is a hyperspace drive that we could have figured out by the hyperspace engine that they were taking, but that was the big revelation at the end that we already knew. And that big ring is going to take them to Grand Admiral Thrawn, who will probably appear in 2 episodes, maybe at the end. He'll probably appear. I don't know. Have you seen any? What were you privy to? The first 2 episodes only?
Oh yeah, only. Although what's funny is that Disney did send me a screener link to episode 3 at 6 o'clock. So like 6 o'clock Pacific time. So like when it aired. Yeah. Assuming that I don't have Disney Plus. So there you go.
That's funny.
Yeah.
When they send you these things, do they like, hey, subscribe to Disney Plus? Do they try to like?
No.
Okay.
It's just because of my affiliation and my membership in the CCA. I get screeners of TV and films, but not for every company. Just select ones.
Well, not Warner Brothers.
Not Warner Brothers. Rarely. I actually will, during award season, I'll get stuff from Warner Brothers, but only during award season, which is kicking off in the next, I don't know, probably October at this stage. I don't know. It's going to be a weird year. That's all I can say.
Imagine if Warner didn't piss off Chris Nolan and they had Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Right.
It still wouldn't have. You know what's funny is Barbie can make fucking $4 billion and it won't make up for the money they've lost this year. It's hilarious. It is hilarious. It's a drop in the bucket. What Barbie's made is a drop in the bucket compared to the losses that Warner's collectively is going to have as a company that's already in debt. But back to Ahsoka. So remember Star Wars, everyone? Do you remember Star Wars? They want you to remember Star Wars because they reenact the scene from I just call it Star Wars. It's still like A New Hope. That's how old school I am. A New Hope was added much later. Okay. Episode 4 was added much later. It's Star Wars. The scene where Luke is training with Obi-Wan, and they do it with Sabine and Ahsoka. She becomes Ahsoka Miyagi. She is the trainer. They even have like Asia music. The funniest part of this episode, Chris, is at the very beginning, right when they start the recap, there's like this flute playing and it sounds kind of out of tune and it sounds like my opening crawl out of tune stuff. I just started laughing my ass off in my video. If you hear it, if you go right to the beginning, it goes and it sounds bad. And I'm like, oh shit, we were prophetic.
I understand what they're going for. They're trying to go for like a samurai film. That's what they
were trying to go for that.
Yeah.
Very much so. Oh,
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh, I can't find it. Hang on. Do we want to show every screen? There we go. There we go. So, that was the space. We'll get to the space, but honestly, there's not much to recap. Okay. Here's the quick spoiler-free recap. There's some training. There's some doubt about Sabine's ability. There's a space chase. And we find the ring. Ray Stevenson shows up at the very end. The end. That's it. So just to give you an idea. All right. So we're still in recap territory here. That's where the episode starts at 1:44. 1 minute 44. Just to skip ahead here. Let's go. There we go. So it's about 28 minutes long. That's it. And then, so here's the training. And like they are trying very hard to not make Sabine a Mary Sue, but as our good friend Ryan and many others have pointed out, she doesn't really have force abilities. And now they're going with anybody can use the force if they just train hard enough, basically, which is a big freaking change from Star Wars. And you know what's behind that? Intersectional feminism. And the modernism, the modernity that hard work and training is part of the unjust system that is the patriarchy. And if you think I'm joking, this is their attitude. This is the story group's attitude. This is your savior Dave Filoni, who's in sync with the story group, and Pablo Hidalgo, they're buddies. This is it. So it's pissing on George's legacy. We'll talk about George later, by the way, Chris.
Yeah.
He's not free of guilt. He's not free of guilt in this. He did sell Star Wars, and he also made I'll get into it later. He made a mistake. It's a mistake. It's a human mistake, but he made a major mistake that led to this. So we have, they're training, and I know people are going to say, like, you should have seen Clone Wars. You should have seen Rebels. It was like this in the show. Well, I did see all of Clone Wars and about half of Rebels. And what works in a cartoon does not work in live action. And you're supposed to be watching this as without needing to watch any of that stuff. It's this show's responsibility to fill in the viewer of any missing pieces, which you could easily do with just basic conversation or showing you a couple things. There's, exposition exists for a reason as long as it's not overused. You can also show people things. The Harry Potter movies weren't perfect, but they would show you events through the newspaper flying around. And I'll never forget in the X-Men movie, Chris Gore, the first X-Men movie, somebody's watching the news on the beach at a hot dog stand. Like, how did you plug in your TV? What the hell? But it was used to show, give you some exposition. That's often a trick that's used. There's a million ways you can do it in Star Wars that they don't do. They just like, oh, you're going to know this stuff because everybody loved Rebels, except they didn't. A minute percentage of Star Wars fans watched it all the way through. And even remember it. Like, this is a show that ended in 2018. 2018. It's a different world. It's an absolutely different world. So she does her training. I don't know if you can notice this if you see it, Chris. By the way, Chris, what did you think of this scene? Anything?
Oh, it was just an echo of the Luke training scene with Obi-Wan, which is better and has fewer special effects. It was like, do you remember there was a game system for Xbox called the Kinect, spelled K-N-I-E-T?
Yes. I remember. I never played it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I played it. It was dumb, and it reminded me, they just gamified the Force with this whole thing of holding up those sort of light things so you could see the pathway of her strokes, so to speak. And I thought it was just dumb.
Was it around the time, didn't Nintendo or something?
Well, they had the Wii. They had the Wii.
Yeah, the Wii player. I don't know, guys.
Look, Gary and I as gamers will tell you that, they tried to gamify this thing, and I don't know, it just felt kind of flat. What was weird about the whole episode is it just doesn't feel like there's stakes, and I'm sitting here, why does this seem to plot along? Why does nothing seem to matter?
There's no energy behind it, right? And you have, sorry to interrupt you, but like you have Rosario Dawson, who's like this bubbly actor, and you're having her play like the driest, flattest role. And somebody on Twitter called me a Rosario Dawson hater. Dude, watch the whole video. I like her. I like Rosario Dawson a lot. It's just, and she probably would have, I think she makes sense as Ahsoka. Her performance just sucks. And that has a lot to do with the directing and the writing.
That's exactly it. It's really the directing and the writing where this is weak. The actors are empty vessels. They'll do what you tell them, and you can trick them into good performances as well. I'm just saying, there's something that just feels low stakes about it, just because we know how many episodes. We know she's not going to die when she goes out on the hull. We didn't know Sabine was going to survive a lightsaber, stabbing, which makes lightsabers meaningless. There's no stakes. It's kind of like, I'm trying to think of it like, why? And it's sort of like, not to make a sports comparison, but I will make one. It's like the MLB. How many games do they play in a baseball season? They play a lot of games. You lose a game, whatever. In the NFL, you don't play that many games. Every game matters, right? So that's why I think the movies have always mattered more to me than anything that was an offshoot of Star Wars. Even though, like, I like the Heir to the Empire novels and the Timothy Zahn stuff. I like some of the comic runs and some of the other storytelling. But to me, when it came to Star Wars, all I cared about was what happened in the movies, because what happened in the movies to me was canon, and everything else was like fanfic.
Yeah. Like every time you watched a cartoon, as a Star Wars fan, we knew this forever. Every time you read a Marvel comic, a Dark Horse comic, you saw a cartoon, it all count. It could count in your head if you want, but that, like, they will, when it comes to movies and live action, they will throw all that away immediately. They just will. The only place where canon, because it's so timey-wimey, kind of counts everywhere is in Doctor Who. But not like Star Wars. I'll give George's big mistake is he never mapped anything out. He never did a Bible. He never did a Bible for Star Wars. He never did a lore Bible. So we had a lot of people coming in. I know, like, the David Tennant's in this as Huang, and He's just completely flat. How do you make David Tennant flat? Like, that's unbelievable. He's like he's like muted David Tennant, but he's like doing this training and like, listen, I'm sure the language is from the lore, but it's all oogie, tuki, buki, suki, dookie. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, get a linguist to get in there. You know, I'm sorry, I'm going on the Tolkien standards, who was a linguist, but dude, he's like, what the fuck is he? He's like, it's like a 2-year-old saying training stuff, and people are gonna, it's from me. I don't care. It sounds like shit. I don't know where it's from, but it sounded stupid as hell. One of the, because, dude, it's so bad. So I can't unseen this. This is not a major gripe. All right. I'm just saying this is something I can't unsee. I just watched Buffy last night, and you could see I watched old Star Trek where Kirk's stuntman has a freaking mustache. You can tell. I just want you to point out, like, look at this body right here. And then we get to, if I can, I might have to find another place. You could see, okay, there's the stunt woman has much bigger arms, like much bigger arms.
Right.
like she's fit. Here, I'll just have it go and I'll risk it.
Oh, Ryan was playing clips.
Yeah. So this is the actress. And there's
oh no. You just got to do a split screen.
There's like freaking 3 inches added to those guns.
Wow. They kind of hit it in the wide shot.
And I could not unsee it after I saw it. I'm like, damn, that is a huge difference.
Wow.
And if Sabine was built like that, I mean, it's more, you know, I just don't think the standards for women as actors are the same as men. Or the men just go out and train on their own. Whatever the answer is, the standard's not the same. The standard's not the same, but that is a massive difference. Now, again, it's not the biggest. That's not even close to the biggest. That's fine. It's fine. I was watching a Buffy fight. You could see it's like a 40-year-old woman. I was laughing so hard.
The other thing. Oh, sorry, Gary. Sorry.
Okay, go on. No. Go on. Interrupt me whenever you want, Chris.
The other thing about this show, and pardon me if this sounds like a sexist comment, which I will credit to Paul Chato, and I'm trying to figure out, like, why is this show so flat? Why is this not working? Like, the special effects are fine. Story direction, like, where is it? And one thing that Paul Chato pointed out, he just said this on one of his videos.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
He said women cannot do gravitas. Like, there are very few female actresses, or female actresses. If you're an actress, you're a female. Old school. They just don't do gravitas as well as men. And when I think about some of the inconsequential minor characters from the original Star Wars trilogy, people that were on screen for under a minute, who left an impression, like these great, there's a whole documentary about a bunch of the character actors that were in the first Star Wars movie, who were just sort of players that just were in like everything, TV and movies. Like, here's the group of Brits that you would hire on movies, like, you know, General Dodonna, or like these like minor characters that just had so much gravitas, right? And with the exception of Ray Stevenson, they just lacked the gravitas. I laughed with this General Hera, like, General, she's just got, I mean, I like the actress who plays her, Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
She's fine.
I like her.
Yeah.
She's fine in Scott Pilgrim, but where's the gravitas, right? Like, even the actress they got to play Mon Mothma in Return of the Jedi, I thought was much better than what they've got. And then wait a sec, she has a son. How come he's not green?
He's got green hair.
Is that what it is? Okay. He has green hair. Okay, is she?
Why doesn't he have things pulling out at the, like, yeah, like, why did the human gene dominate on that one? That was, yeah.
So is this something from Rebels? I should know, but because I didn't.
Well, the sun shows up at the end.
Hours. Oh my god.
The sun shows up at the end. Kanan dies, because he's a dude.
Right. Okay.
But there's male characters, and they finally brought one in, and he's like in for a second. But there's other male characters from Rebels that are alive that they could bring in. But no, this is very deliberate. They'll probably bring them in later episodes. That's about. But my guess is part of this, they really wanted to have the headlines of the first girl-on-girl saber duel, or later on we got the I don't know if it's the first, and I don't care. They have a girl-on-girl dog fight, which I think would be a cat fight. I'm not sure. You answer the question yourself in the chat, but yes. Because Ray Stevenson's little Shih Tzu ambushes Sabine and Ahsoka. But this training sequence goes on forever, by the way. And it really, it just sets up that she has no force abilities, but she will get them later in the most magical way through hard work and determination, which I'm fine, whatever. I just don't care about this character. I don't care about any of these characters at all. And there's a little more emotion, like somebody cracks a smile or actually raises their voice later on, but it's in this meaningless gobbledygook of content. Like, this was not a full episode. I keep bringing it up, but I watch other stuff, right? And when you watch a good show like Breaking Bad, the first episode, or if you watch the first episode of Daredevil, or even the first episode of Game of Thrones, or the first episode of House of the Dragon, I can go on and on, the first episode of Doctor Who, they set up their main characters, motivation, and everything in 40 minutes. 40 minutes. We're 3 episodes in, and they haven't set everything up yet. They're just drawing it out because Disney doesn't know how to make television, which is, again, surprising since they owned a couple of networks. But they just don't know how to make streaming television. And instead of like copying everything that HBO does, they just do their own thing, and they're really bad at it. So this is probably as I said in my review, Chris, this is the best Disney Star Wars can do. This is just it. I've said that about other stuff too, but this is the best they can do. And Robert Mark Burnett hit the nail on the head, dude. He said Star Wars, the original Star Wars was about something. Now Star Wars is about itself. But now it's Disney Star Wars being about Disney Star Wars, because Rebels is Disney Star Wars. So
I said something similar where basically the original Star Wars was influenced by everything that came before it. Old serials from the 1930s starring Buster Crabbe and Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon. It was influenced by Marvel Comics and characters like Doctor Doom. It was influenced by Forbidden Planet and other science fiction like 2001 that came before it. And literally the original Star Wars utilized every single special effects and makeup technique that was available at the time the movie was made in 1976, right? So it was influenced, and all these things. It was influenced by Joseph Campbell, and it was influenced by history and all this. And now all Star Wars going forward is influenced by the last Star Wars thing, because the reaction to it will inform what Lucasfilm thinks it needs to do going forward, right? So it's just influenced by the last Star Wars, not the source material, because the people working on it, you might want to see Hidden Fortress or some of these things. I actually do think Dave Filoni probably did do some of that, but you've kind of, once you've defined the universe, it's like the one thing that I miss is a sense of wonder and a sense of, they want to explain everything. At some point we're going to understand. I'm sure this has already been explained in Rebels or Clone Wars. So please chat. The chat is always right. Chat, please correct me or whatever. What the hell is the thing on Ahsoka's head? Like, does it have a function? Or the Twi'leks, is that used? I mean, I could think of what you could use those things for. The Twi'leks, their handles. But I'm just saying, that was an interior.
What's up, Az? No, she's that's part of her race. So
yeah,
it's supposed to look Egyptian, right? And right. As a design, it's not. It's not super functional, and I think that would how does she hear? I don't know.
Well, what I liked about the original,
it's her genitals.
the original Star Wars films.
It's a tumor.
They never explained anything. It's just this is this.
Yeah,
and I miss that. Like, and let's be honest, the space whales thing is stupid. There are things that are just plain
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's like even the Rebels fans at the end were at that last one were going, what was up with the fucking space whales? Dude?
Right.
Jesus Christ. Their handles. What's up, Az? I see you in the chat.
Hey,
What's
Az.
up, Az?
Shout out to
So
Az.
we got General Hera, oh my God, and she's talking to the Council of No White Males. So we got Mon Mothma. So, okay, General Hera is making a plea at the, so we, okay, real quick. We get a trial, or we get the combat training, and we basically Sabine says, hey, I don't know how to use the Force. I don't even think I got it. And Ahsoka says talent's a factor, but also talent, training, and blah, blah, blah. So she doesn't move a cup, whatever. And then they have a talk about it, like, this is going to be really hard. Like, it's like, we got it. We got it. Sabine doesn't have the Force right now. She's going to get it later. She's a Mandalorian. Whoop-de-doo. So what they're trying to do is get permission from the New Republic and some resources to go hunt down Thrawn, right? Pretty important. One of your major shipyards was infiltrated with Imperials that they said is an outlier. And one senator goes, well, they gave us an oath of loyalty. Okay. And this new matriarchy that's taking over for the fading patriarchy, according to Peter Travers, former longtime Rolling Stone critic, is just giving rise to an incompetent matriarchy. I don't think they even realize that they're making Mon Mothma a fucking idiot. She's an idiot. She's a flat out idiot to even be aligned with the Council of No White People, of No White Guys. So, yeah. And so Hera decides to make her case, Chris. You know what she forgets to do?
What?
Show evidence.
Right.
I don't know. Show Ray Stevenson and his little Shih Tzu scuttling an entire ship. That's the word they use. Scuttled a ship, killed the crew, killed the entire crew, and broke out a very important prisoner that a Jedi Knight handed over to them. And they're like, it's an outlier. Meh, I don't need to show evidence. I don't need to show the slaughter by these obvious Force users. And they're like, no, you're just trying to get Ezra back. She didn't show any evidence. So if I was writing this episode, I would felt like it's really important for her to show the council like what happened, what went down. We can't assume that, right? And they don't. They don't. It's fucking dumb. So they just argue about it, and they talk about Ezra. And their argument is we can't afford the resources so you can go on your little personal mission. And they say there's no evidence. Yes, there is. There's 2 Force users just broke a fucking prisoner out of your ship and killed everybody, but there's no evidence. Fucking dumb. It's just dumb. Yeah, there's the council. Dude. Oh, it's such a dumb show. Then we're back on the bridge. This is super exciting, by the way, Chris. Were you just like enthralled by this part?
I was waiting for something to happen. I mean, the one thing that happened that was the most interesting, which I thought was a wasted opportunity, was when the ship kind of went dead and Ahsoka had to go out, on the hull to distract them. I mean, Ryan pointed out, like, why didn't they just shoot the ship? Why did they shoot at her?
Oh, dude, I was screaming at the screen.
And the thing that just
so
made me
dumb.
laugh, the thing that made me laugh was she's flipping around, but that there was a custom-made suit that fit her.
Okay, you want to get to that? Let's get to that. Let's get to the dumbest freaking space battle in Disney Star Wars. Sorry to interrupt you. So they talk some more about, I got the Force. No, you don't. Yeah, try harder. Oh, she doesn't got the Force. She's bad. Okay, whatever. All right, now we're in hyperspace. General Hera says, hey, you're on your own. I couldn't get any of the resources because I didn't bother to show any evidence to the council, who's a bunch of window-licking morons. So then her transmission gets jammed. They get out of hyperspace at a pretty far distance. They even pointed out, Huang points out this is standard Jedi protocol that we, don't get too close to the planet so we don't get ambushed, and they get ambushed, right? So the space battle, which is supposed to remember Star Wars, Chris?
Yes.
Do you remember Star? I remember Star Wars.
Remember
you know what?
that?
It's getting a little harder to remember Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I remember Star Wars. So they do the dogfight tail gunner scene from A New Hope. The only thing I can say I kind of liked was the Shih Tzu's ships. Probably have seen them again, but they're supposed to look like World War II fighters, right? Fighter planes, which kind of look cool. I like that. But that's about it. That's about the nicest thing I can say. So she goes back. Don't get cocky, kid. Ooh, I got one. Blah. Like, because Star Wars can only be self-referential. And I'm watching Buffy. I like Buffy, but I got to blame Joss Whedon. Pop culture references, irony, and self-referential shit started right there. That was Exhibit A. It just should have just stayed there. Now it's everywhere, and it sucks. It's even in Star Wars. So yeah, they have this little fight, and the ship gets like disabled, absolutely disabled. It's dead in space. It's floating around the big space ring. What do they do, Chris? Do they blow up the fucking ship when it's just that, like, it's off our scope? Are you kidding me? Okay. So they're trying to make you think of the asteroid field. And I was half expecting for the ship to like maybe go up to the inside of the ring and hide like they did on the Star Destroyer in Empire Strikes Back. Nope. By the way, Snake Eyes is there. The Marok. Is it Starkiller, Chris? Is it Ezra? Is it George Lucas? Is it Kathleen Kennedy? I don't care. So the big guns start firing off the ring because Morgan, who spends the whole time sitting on a bridge with her arms behind her back like this going, fire. Did you destroy them? I've got it from here. Trying to be, her doing her best Tarkin impression and basically looking like a soccer mom trying to do it. But, oh well. Yeah, so there's a lot of this, a lot of bad shooting. And then we get to the point where they're dead in space. They don't get fucking destroyed. There's like multiple times to destroy the ship, Chris, before we even get to the dumb part. Like it's a normal, boring space battle. But to distract them as they get the ship back on, because they were able to dick around long enough. While the fighters were out there, they knew exactly where they were. They could have blown the ship up at any time, but they dick around long enough for them to get the ship back on. The only thing I want to point out, Chris, did you notice that Ahsoka got her spacesuit on really fast?
Yeah, that was quick. It's like they're dead in space. She puts that thing on and like, I don't know. I just laughed. It's like, this is how we know it's Ahsoka because the way that the helmet is shaped. And it's weird. We haven't really seen that a lot in Star Wars. I mean, there was the, where they're brushing off the Minox on the asteroid.
Yeah.
Which I thought was weird. They just have, so does it have some atmosphere? A little bit of an atmosphere, which is why they only had the breathing apparatus. They didn't have like full spacesuits, if you recall, in The Empire Strikes Back. So we haven't seen a lot of outer space, actions, so to speak. So at least I thought like, oh, okay, that's an original idea in this. But then the way it was executed felt kind of dumb.
Well, I mean, if you would have, I'm assuming she had gravity boots on like they do in The Expanse. That would be my assumption.
Or Ryan suggested maybe she used the Force.
That's kind of dumb. But I mean, I think they would, that she would use the Force instead of like, they would have the technology to have gravity boots. Like that would just magnetically, mag boots that would just stick to the hull of the ship. But maybe, I don't know. I mean, kind of looked like she had moccasins on too. There's the little Shih Tzu, little Yorkshire Terrier is going after. Paul Chato got me started on that because he called her a Chihuahua. So I just started going on small dog breeds. Because next to Ray Stevenson, she does look like your typical Hollywood actor, like big guy with like little dog. It's kind of a thing there. It's really weird. Although I have a little dog. I have a couple, but I also have a wife. Here we go. They're going in, and she's like, hurry up. So she just walked out saying, hold him off. I'm going to go distract him. She's like, what are you doing? Just get it started. So she walks back. Then the Shih Tzu goes, we have them. And then she's in her suit. It's like, boom. It's like, damn, she can get dressed fast. So this is what they do. She's on the hull of the ship with her lightsabers with 3 fighters coming at her. And what do? Well, she very slowly walks out. By the way, there's still lots of pauses, lots of slow walking. And they are pretty close. Do they, A, shoot the ship, or B, shoot at Ahsoka's lightsabers? If you chose B, you're watching Disney Star Wars. There is ample opportunity to just blow up the... What? So stupid. I would have just gone, what's this dumb bitch doing? Boom. Blow up the ship. Oh, Chris. This is so dumb.
Yeah. It's a live action cartoon at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
It really is. It really is. Okay, so they shoot at Ahsoka. Whee! Oh, they did that in Rebels. Yeah, it probably looked fine in the children's cartoon. In this live action thing, it's I just laughed, dude. I'm like, oh my God. People are gonna love this stuff. And you just go, God, that explains 81 million votes. I mean, aside from other things. Yes, that was it. Let's go. Boop-a-doop. We're gonna fire at Ahsoka instead of the ship. And then she's gonna go, wee, look at that. Wee. Oh, but it gets worse. It gets worse. So she fights him off, Chris. You remember that part.
Oh, yeah.
And then they fly amongst the space whales. You remember the space whales?
Oh, my God.
And they get away. It looks like they land in upstate New York in the fall. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Ray Stevenson shows up at the end and goes, we better find him. And that's it. The end. That was your show. Barely enough to talk about except for that really one horrible space fight that is just unbelievably bad. Unbelievably bad, Chris. This is Star Wars now. And I'm at the point, like, I cover this stuff. I have no emotional investment in it, though. I mean, like, honestly, the Disney Star Wars fans could have Disney Star Wars all day long. Disney won. They killed Star Wars. You won, Disney. You killed Star Wars. It's all yours. I don't give a shit. And well done. Well done. It took a lot of incompetence, like well-planned idiocy, horrible decisions by what should be a grandma, running, being the worst studio head in the history of Hollywood, failing upward. And she will be given a glorious exit. She will be honored at the Academy Awards, Chris. She will win awards. She'll get a Lifetime Achievement Award for destroying one of the greatest intellectual properties made for boys ever. Maybe that was her point. Not really sure. At this point, it's done, right? So what else can we do? What else can we do? Chris, any other thoughts on?
Oh my God. About Ahsoka
that 28-minute episode.
What could there be? I mean, they went someplace.
They didn't go to the capital of Lothal or the apartment. I give them that. I'll give them credit for that.
they went someplace and landed, and they got there, and ran into some people and shot some stuff. You know, I don't know. Like, I feel like there should be some consistency. Like, if episodes are, I know that like the streamers have sort of made it like, there's an episode that's 50 minutes, there's an episode that's 30 minutes, and there's something about consistency of length. And we talked about this.
Ladies,
I heard you when you did your live stream after the first 2 episodes came out, and I watched your video too. Oh my God, your video on Ahsoka is so good.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, it was so good. But you talked about something that happens in it, and I think we've discussed this before, is like there's a thing that in television, when it was formatted to be a certain length, you know, episodes of a 1-hour show were 48 minutes because there were 12 minutes of commercials. There were commercial breaks at kind of approximately certain places. And what old TV shows, and you really notice this once I pointed out, you can't unsee it. Okay. So there are episodes of old TV shows like The X-Files or any sort of SVU or crime show where they film, the directors will include garbage time, which garbage time is when nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
Garbage time is pulling up in the car, maybe one line of inconsequential dialogue, getting out of the car, walking up to the porch, knocking on the door, someone comes to the door. Well, you can just cut to them in the door, or you can include everything I just described. It's a way for episodes of television to reach a precise length. Now, the garbage time was something that's kind of gone away with streaming, except when I'm watching Ahsoka, especially the first 2 episodes, there's a lot of garbage time. And I'm like, why? You don't need a good editor could take those first 2 episodes of Ahsoka, edit them into one 40-minute episode where it moves quickly. You know, a decent, in fact, that'd be a good, if you're trying to learn editing software, take this and make it clip along. And it's God, I think you and I may have talked about this. The direction that was missing was George Lucas, which is faster, more intense. I mean, when you look at some of the things that happen, like the actors are the actors are telling you how to feel. And if they don't feel like they're in danger, the audience doesn't feel like they're in danger. And it just doesn't, I don't get that. There's no sense of like, holy shit, we're going to die. Or like, you're going to let, and you know, like, or Han Solo schooling Luke Skywalker saying, you know, you got to get your coordinates right, or you fly right through a supernova. You know what I mean? I mean, that scene where they're just like, they're acting in the cockpit, the intensity of being chased by that Star Destroyer in the first Star Wars, and he's trying to get the coordinates right so they can get on their correct pathway, is great. And they're like, you know, I think the problem is that so much of Star Wars is surface level, right? It's, well, we have spaceships and lightsabers. Isn't that Star Wars? No, that's not all of it. A lot of it is, and that's why Luke Skywalker to me was such a popular character, and still is popular in spite of people trying to emasculate Luke, is he was the one with the sense of wonder. He was the one that was so dedicated to his friends that he would, basically forget the advice of his mentor and say, no, that's what made him likable, right? What about my friends? What about Han and Leia? Well, you might have to sacrifice them in this war. He wasn't willing to do that. Here's the thing. Look, what is story? Story is character. I'm going to ask you a question, and I ask this to the chat and you. What does Sabine want? What does Ahsoka want? And why do we care? I don't know she wants to be a Jedi, but why? Why does Luke want to be a Jedi? Well, we know. We know.
Yeah.
Meaningful to him.
That whole, Sabine being the Padawan, she did, after all this time, what was between there was so many questions in that, and I just didn't care. Sorry, folks. My camera crapped out for something.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to try to fix it. We'll see if that works, but we'll keep going.
But I'm sorry for that long rant, Gary.
No, it's good.
I'm just trying to the thing that makes you like the characters in Star Wars is because we knew what they wanted. Han Solo wanted money, and he was an asshole. Princess Leia cared about her rebellion. That mattered more to her than anything. She cared less about herself than her cause. That made her relatable and likable. And these other characters, it's like they kind of maybe graft on a version of other Star Wars characters. They kind of grafted on in kind of a like, well, we've seen this before. You've liked this before. That's what made Finn the most interesting character of the Star Wars sequels. And they shit on him.
Yeah.
He basically was indoctrinated, went against the indoctrination, may have had some Jedi Force powers. They threw that away. And then they cut out a scene in The Rise of Skywalker where he basically tells Rey, I have Force powers. The whole thing where he's yelling, Rey, 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 JJ admitted they forgot. They were editing that movie up until the last minute, and no one bothered to look at the movie to make sure that line was in there that explained why he kept saying that. It made him look stupid. I mean, he was ridiculous. He was sidelined. And John Boyega has a right to feel like he was maligned and mistreated. I hope he does not do the Rey movie. You're going to watch the Rey movie is going to be like the member berries of all the bullshit we've seen, if it ever even gets made. And I suspect it will not. So
no, the health of this, Ryan's pointed out, many have pointed out that like Disney really needed this one to be a hit, like badly, like really badly. And it's not. It's so they're pulling out the Amazon Rings of Power BS. When they came out and initially said 25 million people watched the first episode, then 100 million people watched the series. It's just a bunch of bullshit when you don't back any of this up, when you're proven to be a liar over and over again. And that's the state of Hollywood right now. Is it's become too big to succeed. The Silicon Valley coming in and creating this false bubble. You sent me a great article that really breaks down like basically Hollywood sold their shareholders a bill of goods, but bullshit, like absolute bullshit. Like the streaming was the future and the money was never there. And now, and by the way, that money was never there. They got a bunch of investor money. They were living fat off a really good economy. Then when things went south, all of a sudden, canceling shows that are finished. All of a sudden, storage costs too much, and we're just at the beginning. Oh, and then they decided to shut down because it's a battle for Hollywood's life right now. And like, that's not hyperbole from a YouTuber. That is from the people who are striking, who work there, who are trying to look at this. Not everybody's on board with the strike, but they have to be at this point because you're in servitude to your union. It's having another boss. And now we have millionaires saying they're broke. And we have talk show hosts coming to our world, coming to our world after their clips polluted YouTube forever. And it's been great without them. They're coming to podcasts. This is a huge effing problem. They needed this to work and it didn't. It's not driving. So the only way Ahsoka makes money is off the toys and driving subscribers to Disney Plus, which I'm positive will post another loss next quarter, which means this was just a fart in the wind for them. Yeah. And they put a lot into this. And the other problem is you can't pivot. You like to say the word pivot. You can't pivot when you're this big. When you're this big, you have too many people to pay, too many investments, too many shareholders, too much money to do anything fast. There might be people internally. Well, they did. They recognized there was a problem and came to the wrong solution. Not that Bob Chapek was good. He wasn't. But they brought back the architect of their failure thinking this was going to fix it. And now he's probably the most loathed guy in Hollywood. And I'm glad you finally got there and recognized this guy's a fraud. This guy's a fucking fraud. All he did was buy shit. That doesn't make you a fucking genius. It just makes you good at buying shit. And then the shit you bought, you destroyed.
That is such a key point, Gary. He was good at identifying, here's an IP that has value, but there is more to it than that. You need to shepherd that IP and listen to your audience. listen. If you learned anything, being on YouTube, right? Like you listen to your audience,
Yes.
audience, you don't always agree on things, but it's a respectful conversation. Now, I have people disagree in my chat all the time. I'll talk about those remarks, and we're fine to disagree, which is fine, but you don't go after the audience. And look, Barbie's been this huge hit. It's going to probably end up being nominated. I'm shocked. I'm telling you this. Barbie will more than likely get nominated for Best Picture,
It will.
Best Screenplay. Ryan Gosling will get Best Supporting Actor nomination. Not going to say it's going to win any of those things, but let me just tell you, Barbie is a girl brand, knew its audience, and targeted girls, and it's a huge hit.
And Barbie looked like Barbie.
And Barbie is, I have no problem with the Barbie movie. We've had this conversation. I don't want to spiral back into it, but I'll just say this. Star Wars is a boy brand. It appealed to boys. It's gear porn. I mean, the Millennium Falcon is a car. The Millennium Falcon is a hot rod. It's a 1969 Chevelle SS. You're covered in grease and you're working on that. I'm just actually telling you my own personal experience of when I was in high school and had that car. But or a motorcycle, whatever.
To your
gear
point,
porn is something guys are into.
To your
right?
point, sorry to interrupt, but
no, please.
No, the guys who worked on Star Wars knew about cars. They knew how to work on cars. They had a working knowledge of cars, right, and of material things in the real world. The story group has a working knowledge of the inside of their bedrooms. That's about it. That's their life experience, and it shows. It absolutely shows. It's regurgitated crap from whatever specialty art school they went to, and the inside of their fucking room. That's it. There's no experience there at all. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. No, dude, it's just, I hate to say this, but it's like, look, there's certain things where if I'm going to get my hair cut, I want to get hair cut probably from a woman or a gay man. That's just,
yep.
Maybe I don't know what that makes me, but there are certain people that are better at certain jobs. And I kind of feel like the reason Star Wars and Marvel have fallen on hard times is maybe you have a little too much female energy. Maybe there needs to be a little bit more of a balance. I just think that when you get away from making Star Wars not for men and boys, you see what happens to it.
Yes, you do.
And neither of us have problems with strong female characters, but Jesus fucking Christ, the fuck are you doing to Star Wars, you idiots?
They killed it, and it's it's beyond dead, Chris. It died with The Last Jedi.
Right.
There was no way to save it after that. It was irrevocably damaged. You took your main character. That's like having Spider-Man be a quitter. I mean, that's like you just made your biggest character a quitter, a loser who ODs on the Force. You don't come back from that. You don't. Yeah. So here we are years later, and it's just a defiled corpse. That's all it is. There's always going to be fans hanging on, but that number is going to dwindle and dwindle. And I said it on Twitter. It's not a matter of if the Star Wars fandom is split anymore. It's a matter of how many are left. How many are left? And you're talking about a handful comparatively. Okay, so Samba TV, based on the Roku or whatever stuff like that. Basically, that's what I watch most of my stuff on. I watch live streams now in my home theater. I wish you could see the chat, but
you can see the chat. Actually, I have a Roku TV and I watch YouTube on my Roku TV. There's a setting you can have the chat.
I'll find that setting. I haven't bothered to look, but
you got to turn it on though.
I love my home theater, by the way. Thanks, Mrs. Nerdrotic built that for me for a birthday present. It's freaking great. So Samba TV came out and said 1.2 million people watched it over 6 days. Now they had that's more days than they usually report. It's usually over 3 or 4, right? So they had to stretch it to 6 to make it 1.2 million, which gives you an idea. It's not the total number. It's not counting people watching it on their phones or their desktops. It's not the total number, but that averages out to 200,000 views a day. That's pathetic. Low estimates for the series, I promise you it's higher. Low estimates were $100 million for this series. Wow. So they just flush money down the toilet. So Sama TV comes out with that, and then it's followed by this. From the Star Wars account, 14 million views for the first episode. And what do they link to? I'm gonna have to show this in a. They link to Star Wars. They link to StarWars.com.
This is why you need an independent company auditing these things. This is why box office matters. It's a barometer of the popularity of a thing. Right? Hey. We can say definitively Barbie was popular. And also Oppenheimer has just crossed, I believe it is now number 2. It's beaten Deadpool 2 for the biggest box office for an R-rated movie ever.
Not adjusted for inflation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
All those numbers are
Deadpool
bullshit.
2 wasn't too far off. So it's probably not that big of a difference, but still, that's good on Oppenheimer for doing that, right?
Yeah, that is good. And then we're talking about Barbie beating Harry Potter, but no, if the actual Harry Potter number in today's dollars is like almost $2 billion.
Yeah, I don't like whenever they say that. It's first of all, it's a lie.
It's a lie.
Secondly, the French are the ones that get it right. They don't count money; they count number of admissions. So they actually can tell you, including when they do critic screenings in France and at Cannes, they count the number of people that show up. So you can say this movie Amelie in France, X number of people saw it, right? And they basically are counting admissions. That's smarter, but whatever.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to calculate exact inflation because pricing even varies by region, right? Like movie tickets are more expensive in California as opposed to Texas.
Yes, they are.
So I can tell you that for sure.
The hurricane is still affecting Blue Beetle, I hear, by the way. It's breaking news.
Oh, no.
The new one.
Hey, are the Geeks and Gamers crew, are they okay? Or is Ryan going to go out in the storm and do a storm weather report?
I think they're okay. I hope everybody in Florida is okay, by the way. Massive storm. There was a video of a CNN guy, and there was like a father and son on like some little raft just floating by. Oh, that was fucking hilarious. I love Florida people. So the funny thing is, okay, this was pointed out. I wondered about it yesterday when we talked about it on the Real BBC, but this is the first time Disney has ever done this. They didn't do it with Obi-Wan. They didn't do it with Boba Fett. They didn't do it with any of the seasons of The Mandalorian. This is the first time they have come out and mentioned this. Now, coincidentally, this happened. Oopsie doopsie. On the same day. This is not the lawsuit from 2 weeks ago. This is a new one. Disney, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek hit with another investor suit over fraudulent streaming costs. There have been rumors and whispers, and there are actual news reports of cooking the books at the parks when Bob Chapek was in charge. There have been rumors and whispers of every streamer cooking the books because, in my opinion, they have been. This has just all been bullshit. To fool investors, the people who get screwed, and this is a big subject of the strike, believe it or not. AI, I think AI is not going to affect their money as much as their residuals, right? So I responded to Star Wars going, God, I hope the writers and the actors, not that they deserve it, get their residuals for the 14 million views they got on the first episode. That sounds like they should get something. And then when we hear a writer come out and say, I got a $300 check, it's bullshit, or somebody's lying. Well, they are, because not that many people watched it, and they're fudging the numbers, And if they weren't, they'd tell everybody because it would be a great marketing tool. If 14 million people, 18 million people watched the final episode of Game of Thrones live. 18 million. So that's only 4 million less than the finale of Game of Thrones. That's more people that watch the premiere of the House of Dragon, and I'm pretty sure live it's more people that watch the end of the House of the Dragon live. That is more people that watched episodes of seasons 1 through 4 of Game of Thrones when it was on terrestrial TV. I find it really fucking hard to believe. But 5 million would be really impressive for this show. Like really impressive in today's numbers. But how are they, we don't know. Everybody does their analytics. It was done, and we talked about it on Real BBC out there, to push a lie because they know a lot of people will just take what this very trustworthy company says at face value, because a lot of people take it's a lot easier. I mean, this goes back to the COVID era and stuff. It's a lot easier to believe in your comfort of belief that the government that you rely on for the roads and taking your tax money isn't lying to you. So it's better to blame the people, because the thought that our government is massively corrupt, our corporations are massively corrupt, and the thing you loved is dead is just too much for some people. So they need it's better to blame fans. You were talking about blaming fans earlier. Biggest mistake Hollywood ever made was starting this fan baiting and fan blaming shit. We've seen it go way back, and you could fast forward to today. Believe me, there would be fan attacks if they could, but they can't because there's a strike. But we're certainly seeing that through identity politics. When you market something to demographic, they start taking it personal. And when somebody criticizes the movie, that means you're criticizing all those people, which is fucking insane, and it's divisive, and they know what they're doing. And it made a lot of woke white women in marketing departments in Hollywood very happy. Very happy. So now Disney is suffering the consequences of attacking the fans. I even hear it from content creators, Chris, and I'll give some unsolicited advice to content creators. You can criticize Chris. You can criticize me. You can criticize Jeremy, as whoever, our ideas all day long. But when you venture as a content creator, when you venture into, well, their audience is just a bunch of sheep and lemmings, tread carefully. Tread carefully, because we share audience. It's not our audience. I am the audience. I'm part of the audience. This is anything we own. These are individuals here who can make up their own mind just fine. But that's a huge mistake. So if, especially the ankle biters, if they wonder, why they don't grow, that's it. There it is. There's the reason. It's not that you disagree with us about Star Wars or whatever. Who gives a shit about that? But Disney, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, fraudulent numbers. Disney has been hit again with another lawsuit from investors over the alleged sleight of hand accounting the company used to hide streaming losses. And once again, some big names, Bob's past and present, are being spotlighted. Plaintiff brings this action derivatively before the benefit of nominal defendant Disney against certain of the company's current executive officers and directors, aiming to rectify the defendant's violations of the Exchange Act and breaches of fiduciary duties for issuing false and misleading statements and or omitting material information in the company's public filings and proxy statements from approximately December 10th, 2020, right around COVID. Fortification to present, says Stourbridge Investments in the August 23rd filing over what it calls material misleading statements and or omissions the company and top executives made over the true financial state of finances of D+. Read the Disney investors lawsuit here. We're not going to go over the whole lawsuit. You feel free to do it. They lied, in my opinion. And a lot of people are seeing blood in the water, including the Access Media, by the way, with Disney. They see it's sinking. That ship has been scuttled. And it's grim, dude. It's going to be grim for Hollywood. I don't know what you've heard, but it doesn't like, well, what you originally heard of, maybe ramping things up by the beginning of next year is sounding more and more realistic.
Yeah, it is. The production returning in January. It's
Yeah.
a chance they'll wrap things up. Holidays will come and go, but it's affecting the economy in California. Last count, I heard the state has lost $4 billion in revenue because there are all these other support services. A friend of mine who works for a lighting company was laid off, a lighting rental company. I mean, it's like, you're thinking about the people that are out front on Instagram and posting all the selfies. Look, I'm on the strike line. Look at me. Of course, they make it about themselves, but it's affecting all the below the line people who aren't working. And that's everything from catering services to gaffers, grips. I mean, they're not working at all. So it's really horrible to hear all this and to wait through the holidays. It's going to dramatically affect the economy. Although if you go to certain stores, stuff is free if you just walk in with a mask and run out very quickly and you don't steal too much stuff. Dude, every day. And like places like these are high end. The Americana, the brand in Glendale, that's a high end shopping place. The Grove, I know you know these places.
Yeah, I do.
The Grove also high end. It's just these smash and grabs, and they're everywhere. They're happening at the high. It's disgusting to see society just break down. And
yeah, that's what we recognized in San Francisco. Like early on, once that I am not this like rah cop guy. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're necessary. There's good. There's bad. I don't root for government services. I like, first responders are cool. And the cops they're necessary for our society. As soon as I heard defund the police, I'm like, we're screwed, especially in San Francisco where they were not really prosecuting very much anyway. They certainly weren't doing anything. Even years ago, when your car got broken into, they told you to file a report online.
Right.
I'm like, well, fucking good does that do me? Well, it helps with your insurance. Yeah. I'm like, aren't you going to try to stop this? And then it became coordinated. So gangs in East Bay were sending groups of kids, largely 18 to 25 males, into San Francisco to shoplift, to do home invasions. 4 on my street alone, Chris. 4. One happened while I was on a live stream. That's somebody armed, breaking into a house, then not giving a shit if people are there or not. And like these people had barred gates in front of their doors, right? They were ripping them off. And I was the one guy in the street who didn't have one, but we had a stairway up to our front door. And somehow that worked better than the barred gate because nobody ever touched our house. Or maybe they just thought our house was so small we didn't have anything. But which is fine. Either way, that rule of law, that respect for the law just diminished. We're a country, for the most part, there's I've said this before, there's a 4-way stop in the middle of nowhere. It's flat. You can see for miles and there ain't no cops. Most people will still stop at that stop sign with no cars. They'll just do it because it's the right thing to do, right? We're not in that society anymore. The rule of law is breaking, especially in the urban areas, because they're not doing anything about it. Bad people will take advantage of bad situations. I know it's shocking to hear. And you know what? Some people are just bad. Victims of circumstance, economy. Okay. It's still a personal decision to be bad. It is. You don't have to be bad.
Yeah, I'm old school. I think arrest people that are committing crimes.
Well, especially
encourages more people.
It's not violence, it's property, but it could instantly lead to that. It could instantly lead to that. And you know what? If you arrest somebody for stealing and they do a little time, maybe it deters, 1 out of 100, but maybe it deters somebody. But if you don't arrest anybody, it won't deter anybody. Doomslaying, I spent a lot of time with these guys and I didn't meet an innocent one. Doom.
I thought everybody was innocent, man.
No, they're all just victims of circumstance. No, that's some pretty fucking horrible shit. Doom Slaying Dempsey for $20 says, just finished reading the comic adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy. Loved experiencing the story in comic form. Disney wishes they were that creative, but they're not. And yeah, they do. They do, but they just can't. Because the hero's journey is antithetical to their entire belief system. Just is. Be it for men or women. I think Robert Meyer Burnett talked about this. Like, you can't show violence. Like, Rey couldn't get her hand cut off because that'd be violence again. Wait. Oh my God.
You know how much more likable she would have been as a character if Kylo Ren had just kicked her ass,
her up,
and chopped her to bits to where she was barely alive. A mechanized version of her is in the second film being schooled by Luke, who feels maybe a little bit guilty. He feels responsible. Because I think Luke should have shown up in the third act. He should have reunited Han, Luke, and Leia. Han could have. There's so much in our imagination from back with playing with the toys. And back then, we didn't collect shit. We played with it. When Star Wars came out, we played with the toys.
Yes.
Okay. And there are adventures that Han, Luke, and Leia had in my imagination, or things I saw in the comics, and that are just better than that god-awful sequel trilogy, and they will never admit that it was a failure. The biggest failure in cinema history, if you ask me.
Yep. Oh, it is. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Disney Star Wars is collectively the biggest failure in Hollywood history. Like, the biggest wasting of potential in Hollywood history.
Yeah.
Even Sony. Like, Sony has an effed up Spider-Man. Like, they've rebooted it a couple times. They and you know what? When they had a miss, man, they cut that thing and they started again. They got on their knees. They went to Marvel, but they still, like, the brand of Spider-Man is not diminished in movies. It is in comics, because Disney did destroy the brand of Spider-Man in comic books, but not in movies yet. And it's kind of unbelievable. Again, books will be written. Many books. Once we get, Polygon the other day fucking busted them. They put up a tweet saying Ahsoka will fix the Disney trilogy like the Clone Wars fixed the prequels. And I just said, so you would.
Saw your quote tweet. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's all right.
Tweet. It was so good.
I'm like, so you admit the Disney trilogy sucks. And we can get into the other layers of that where, like, no, the Clone Wars didn't make the prequels better because you're, again, just saying they were broken in the first place. Something can't fix a trilogy that's broken. There's prequel fans out there. What the Disney trilogy showed us is things can always get worse. That's it. If you liked prequels because you watched them, it's like Goonies, right? There's a whole generation that loves Goonies. Millennials love Goonies. They love it. I saw it when I was like 14. I was like, it's fine. It's okay. Kind of a silly movie, but it was a kid's movie. But it really said something and meant something to a lot of kids who were like 7, 8, and 9. That's who it was made for, by the way. But I never connected with Goonies. I'm not going to hate it, but I've never connected with it. That's probably the same situation. And that's where George succeeded. Like, he made the prequels for little kids, right? And it worked on some of them. They're not good movies. The whole thing should have been Revenge of the Sith. But and I think the novelization of that movie is far superior. It's really good. Highly recommend you read it. That's good Star Wars, is the novelization of Revenge of the Sith. But you can disagree with me on that one. You could love the prequels. I love the Hobbit trilogy. So, you can get me on that. Even though I'd make an argument that it's better than the prequels. Cuddly Texan for $10. Chris, check out the Hill Country Canyon Lake of Cibolo area. Oh, Hill Country here in Texas. Well, Chris wants to be near things. If Chris wanted to be out in the country, be away from people, Hill Country's good stuff. It's good living out there.
Yeah, that's not for me. Like, I don't even like. I mean, I've gone camping, I've gone fishing with my dad in the UP, if you live in Michigan, you know what the UP is, which is the
What's the UP?
Upper Peninsula.
Oh, okay.
The Upper Peninsula. So I and all I can say is this: for me, roughing it is staying at a Courtyard Marriott.
You're a glamper, not a camper.
I'm a glamper, not a camper. It's just like, look, I want to have a decent space where I can walk to everything. I mean, like, I feel spoiled where I live in Pasadena. You've seen my place, Gary. Like, I can walk to Trader Joe's. I walk to the 35er. I walk to there's three movie theaters in walking distance to where I live. I got to live near civilization. Now, do I want to live in a big city? No. Pasadena is small. It feels small town, but there's stuff to do. And so I'm doing the research. I'm in the early stages, but I have to credit Mrs. Nerdrotic for pushing me.
She's pushing you pretty hard. She is.
Yeah. No, I love it though. I love it because it's not like, look, I've been thinking about it, but it's the economy. And also, if we go through they're going to try to push stuff again on us. I'm not doing it. I'm not living in a society in California where people are so divided. Other parts of the country are not as divided, but California in particular is
pretty. Yeah, like there's parts of California that are not down with the way things are going, but they have no power.
Exactly. Well, Gavin Newsom just sees himself as the governor of only one type of person.
Yeah.
He's not a moderate.
Well, that's why he got recalled.
Well, nearly.
He got recalled. There was a recall election a year before election, and then mail-in ballots were instituted, and somehow he magically won. Even though nobody liked him, Mark of Reality for $5 says, please have Yellow Flash on FNT soon. He made a video about the SJW effort to cancel FNT. Yeah, there's another effort to cancel FNT. It's going to happen probably once a year, folks. It just is. I talked about it on Tuesday night's main event. We're not going to get into it here. Talked about it on the Real BBC in depth. It's not the worst thing we've ever said. Not even close. But I do not apologize. I want to make that very clear. I do not apologize. I am sorry some people are very sensitive. I wish the world was a little less sensitive and had a sense of humor. I think America would be a better place if we collectively pulled the stick out of our ass. That's just me. I can laugh at anything. Dude, we roast each other more than anything. Than absolutely anything. I get called, here's the deal. I'm not saying my experience is any better or worse than any individual person and their individual experiences. But, being an ex-felon, being an ex-drug addict, I've been called quite a few things my entire life. Used to bother me. Doesn't bother me anymore. It's part of it. You know what? I did some horrible shit. I did. And I've done the work to try to be a better person, and I've gotten past that. But you know what? Not everybody's going to believe that. And it's not my job to make everybody believe that. It's not. Personally, words are wind. Words are wind. And when we make a pun that's literally on like coffee cups in Hallmark gift shops, I'm not fucking sorry. Maybe for the bad joke. No, I'm not even sorry for that, Chris. I'm not sorry for any joke. Any attempt to make somebody just laugh and chuckle. That's all. That's all. Guyvermectin for $10. That's good. Says, for the taco fund, I heard you got canceled by 5 folks on Twitter. Apparently, I don't feel canceled. Do we feel canceled? By the way, Little Platoon's joining us this Friday. Great channel. Have you watched Little Platoon, Chris?
I haven't.
Okay, you need to watch Little Platoon. So, introduced to him through a recommendation from Drinker, right? And he is of the sphere of Drinker and Mahler. Really good voice. Really, really just like sharp intellect. Good stuff. Good stuff. So check out, if you're not subscribed to Little Platoon, go check out Little Platoon. Great videos.
Sweet.
Ministry of Wrong Thing for $9.99. Why didn't Sabine mention Kanan while training with the blinders on, considering he literally wore one while being blind? Because we don't want to bring up men too much because they wouldn't pass the Bechdel test, even anecdotally talking about men. I have no fucking idea. The Bechdel test is like religious doctrine to these people. I said these people. You heard me. Mark Klein for $10. My son said he likes Ahsoka. All right. All I could think of was Buford T. Justice quote, "There is no way you came from my loins." Well, you know, no accounting for taste. But it's your kid, whatever. Mark of Reality for $10. Geeks and Gamers had a stream and a new clip from Tampa this morning. A father and son had strapped together some living room furniture and were floating down Bayshore Boulevard with kayak paddles. That's my Florida. That's beautiful. Was it living room furniture? That's hilarious. Ryan for 10 British pounds. I can see Filoni is working hard bucketing water out of the sinking ship, but this ain't cutting it. No, Jeremy said it. Filoni ain't shit without George. And George isn't perfect. Again, George didn't map out the lore of Star Wars, so it got muddled. It really got muddled. He didn't respect his own lore, you know, and we forgave it.
Well, I mean, Vader was supposed to be, if you've read the book, The Secret History of Star Wars, Vader was supposed to be a side character. He was just a heavy for other characters. It wasn't until later he decided, he's Luke's father, and then consulted a child psychiatrist. Like, what kind of effect would this have on kids? That's how deeply he cared about the story he created and the characters and how and what he was trying to create a modern fable for kids, because the 70s was so dark. The 70s was just this, I mean, especially if you look at American filmmaking, which I think the 70s and was probably one of the last great eras of American cinema. And by American cinema, I mean movies made for and about American life, which doesn't happen anymore. Everything's, at least it does in independent film, not so much when it comes to big studios that have their eyes on the global market and they have to appeal to everyone and then end up appealing to no one. But yeah, he just looked at the world. So there's no like fairy tales for kids. Like he made it for in particular young boys. You know, where were the heroes? So
we're back to that already. I mean, it's funny that like it's the brand that started that way that's now helped end it, right? And we're gonna have to revisit that. But we need a new crop of creatives in Hollywood, for especially in the corporate aspect of it, not really in the independent.
Right.
But they're not cultivating. That's where Hollywood is not cultivating their minor leagues. That's the problem. The independent sphere that Chris is very familiar with is the minor leagues for Hollywood. And while it's easier than ever to make a movie, it's harder than ever to get that thing noticed. And it's just going to have to be kind of driven by the creator. You're not going to have. I think it's good to get off the corporate teat and do shit on your own. They've made it so expensive. Like the weight, Hollywood is being crushed under the weight of its own excess. And the reason, I just read an article, or Lady Greenmaster shared it. The reason Oppenheimer's making so much fucking money is Nolan, cut out some shooting days and saved tens of millions of dollars in doing that. So Oppenheimer cost like $100 million. So it's very profitable. That's what they need to start doing. $100 million is still a lot of fucking money, right? It's an insane amount of money. Tolkien Brown for $10 says, I canceled Sad Disney Plus during the CG prosecution day, or GC, Gina Carano prosecution days. Am I welcome here? Yes, of course you are. Of course you are. I have a video. I think I do. Hang on. course you're welcome here. I don't care if you don't watch any of this stuff.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.
More than welcome here. Matthew Hammond for $9.99. Glenn Beck just announced that he is trading something for a test print of the original Empire Strikes Back poster before the title was changed, so you can have something to look forward to when in Dallas. Garrett's going to steal it for me. He already said so. Next time I go to the Blaze studio, I don't know if I'm going to go. I don't want to assume. I think my Dallas trips are done for a little while, though. A little while. I got to work. Got to do stuff. Going to the UK in a few days. I'm going to be at Stonehenge in a week. Can't wait. Eric John Pizza Artist for $9.99. The third episode was better than the first two, which is to say mildly entertaining, C+, B-. I just rewatched Band of Brothers, and literally not 1 second of screen time is wasted in 10 hours of the show. Yeah, because that's competent. You know, that's competent television, you know. Again, you know, Melissa and I are watching. We just started Buffy season 3. And that show's, you know, 20, over 20, going 30. Is it 30 years old? We're getting close to 30 years old on the beginning of that show. Its worst episode is better than anything Disney. Go Fish is better than anything Disney Plus has produced with Star Wars. Dave Filoni's dog for $20. Hey, Gary, I'll give you and Chris exclusives about the Ahsoka series in Star Wars. All I ask you is one favor. I can't tell you on YouTube, but I'll give you a hint. It involves a shotgun and my face. I don't want to. I don't want to live. Dave Filoni's dog, by the way. Doing okay, Chris?
I'm doing okay, man.
Okay.
Just I'm on a flight tonight.
Tonight, yeah. We'll get you out of here in a few minutes.
To Dragon Con. Can't wait.
Whoa.
Cannot wait.
Batman just fell down.
Batman,
yeah. It's my Superman versus Batman armored Batman just decided to fall down. It's a poltergeist. It's a poltergeist. Romain Desena for €5 says, great channel and great work, dude. Cheers from France. Cheers! I might be in your country very soon. Vive la France! Gary's Beard Crabs. Hey, that was just one time, okay? For $5. How is your Wheel of Time reading going? Season 2 is probably going to be worse than the Rings of Power. Yes. I'm getting into it. And I haven't watched the show yet, so I'm going to get in the books. I'm going to watch season 1. I have very little time to do it, but I'll manage to do it. I noticed the main character is always like pushed back to the back of the posters, which is pretty funny. And Wheel of Time already got a season 3, right? Yeah, because Amazon's got all the money in the world. But that's what Hollywood's afraid of, because they know Amazon will pull the plug. They don't like to lose money. There's a reason they're almost $1 trillion company, is they don't like to lose money. Shrike717 for $5. I guess the bad guy pilots didn't know you can attack in 3D in space from below, above, and sides, not just behind. For fuck's sake, this episode was dumb. It was. That space battle, when you really look over it, is pretty dumb. T1S for $5. If Blue Beetle became a Jedi, would he change his name to Obi-Wan Kenobi? We've already done that. We've done Juan Solo. That was Andor, by the way. Andrew Matthews for £5 British. The horror of Ahsoka it is more boring than knitting. I sniggered at your review. Nice try there. Somebody put that in a headline of you got to be careful with those words. This is Nacho Way, says Nick XH for 5 British pounds. This is all you're going to have is a bunch of puns now by drumming up this false outrage over a live stream from 2-3 weeks ago. A Citizen 7 for $2. Testing. It is tested. Mark of Reality for $2. Do they put pineapple in tacos now? They probably do. I wouldn't go that far. I like it on pizza, but not on tacos. Crazy Clown Town radicalized for 5 months says, hello, my fellow gamers. Hello. Yeah, me and Chris are well-known gamers. Roger Rubio for $2. Enjoy a soda on me, guys. Always enjoy the Nooner. Hail. Cheers. Alexander Dukas for $2. Nerdrotic, the authority without the gay. And he says, hey, it's the TNA team. MST3K. God, I've always tripped over that. Where do actors go? I already read that one. That was good. The Ahsoka show hurts my brain, says Snell's World for $2. For $5, Patton 360 Games says, I'm so excited for Grand Admiral Musk. I mean Thrawn. That's good. Breaking more established lore because in Star Wars intergalactic travel takes a ton of time. I bet the ring ship does it instantly. Joel Slayer for $5. You know, maybe I'm bad at English, but doesn't intergalactic mean within the galaxy?
Yes, that would mean
so.
That.
If you're going to another galaxy, that's not intergalactic travel, is it? Maybe. And maybe it is. I mean, I don't know. I'm dumb. Tell me, chat. I'm dumb. Because they say it in the show, so I'm like, is that right? Whatever. I don't really care that much. So there's a galaxy. So this ship would have to travel in time. Unless they're just not going to care about the science at all. Like the basic science. Like the most basic of science. I mean, yes, we have sound in space and all this shit. But like, that's the part about Star Wars. It's in a galaxy far, far away. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. P.S. We slayed Nerdrotic. Is racist S flakes on RMB. Okay. What? Alexander Dukas, I don't know. I like RMB. I don't know what was said though. I don't know what's being said other than the lovely direct messages we're getting, which I could give a shit about. But
RMB is getting caught up in that.
I don't know. Is he, Alexander? I hope he doesn't.
I think Rob overreacts to a lot of the stuff. I mean, I tend to ignore the noise and I'll just mute people on social media or I'll just say something that makes them look stupid, which is, fairly easy when you have these midget-minded morons. Obviously, I'm a fan of alliteration. So, midget-minded morons is sort of like how I look at a lot of the stuff online. It's people who, they're reacting to clips and not context. So, although one thing that really got me worked up, Gary, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, is that kid who had the "Don't Tread on Me" patch.
Oh, yeah.
And the moronic. Dude, I'm watching the video of that. That was me in school. Mm-hmm. No surprise, I was a smart-ass kid in school. I did very well academically, and I was bored because I didn't feel challenged in school, and I would fuck with people and, not exactly a jock, no surprise there either. But man, I'm watching that video of that kid and I'm like, holy shit, that was me. I was always in the office, not for fighting physically so much, but just being a jackass and stirring up shit and fucking with people. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm the same now as an adult. But when I saw that video of that kid, I was it gave me faith in the next generation of kids because they're pushing back against stupidity. They're pushing back against the stupidity.
Yeah.
I mean, I would still, if my kids were, young now, I would homeschool them knowing what shit is going on. But yeah, that video of that kid, I've seen it like on 5 other people reacting to it, and I just kid. Like, I feel for that. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, it's horrible that it happened to him, but bring awareness to the stupidity, and that's how it ends.
Yes.
And if you really want to change things, local elections, school boards. That's where they change things. They infiltrated a bunch of places that, quite frankly, you want balance, but the Republicans abandoned so many things because they just thought we couldn't win. They blackpilled so many fucking things like art, culture, schools, corporations, and joined the Uniparty and just became the Washington fucking Generals, right? And that's why we're so out of balance. And now the left that once saw themselves it was a really good marketing job because it wasn't true. Saw themselves as the party of the people, of the individual. Now people are waking up that they've really just kept people divided. They've kept people down by offering them free stuff, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And they became the most authoritative assholes. And that's who I'm against. Whoever's the most authoritative fucking asshole. And right now, it's that party.
I am a 100% agreement with you, Gary. It's weird how it switched because in the 90s, it was different. Let's just say it was different in the 90s. But I'm done with this. I don't like people telling me what to do. I don't like people telling me what to think. I will make up my mind to myself, which is why this stuff is not working. It's just not working.
And I'm not down with people telling me what to say, what I can or cannot say, and what I can or cannot joke about. I'll decide that.
Yeah, no shit.
Don't give a shit
Bullshit.
What you think.
Sorry.
Wayward Noodle for $5 says Clownfish, the great Clownfish TV, is reporting that Marvel is rumored to be considering a She-Hulk season 2 after Barbie's success. Should it work? Right? The happiest people on earth are yours truly, Disparu, if we get a She-Hulk season 2, here's the problem with that. There's a strike. So, I mean, the producers can talk about developing things, I guess, all day long, but I don't know why they'd waste their time on it when they couldn't hire any writers, lock down the actors. So you'd be wasting resources on something that a lot of actors are going to be scrambling and behind on their schedule. So I'm looking at this realistically. It's going to be hard to pin them down for seasons 2 of anything that wasn't already greenlit before, right? So doing it now, minimum, it's 2-3 years out if they do it. And nobody's going to give a shit. I fucking hope so. I mean, bring it. Bring it. All right, Chris, you got to go. You got to get to the airport.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, so thank you, Gary. Always great spending Wednesday with you to just talk about anything.
Yeah.
Just talk about whatever we want. And I don't know when you'll let me know what the schedule is. I'm excited to watch your adventures. So safe travels. I gave some movie suggestions to your wife. She was going to download some movies for you guys to watch on the plane. So hopefully you like my suggestions. And then I don't know. I'm just excited to see your adventures in the UK. I'm going to be, glued to YouTube, just seeing like whenever live streams, and I can't wait to see it. Someone's got to film you meeting Az for the first time.
We're going to be, I'm going to be streaming from his house.
Yeah, I know. I saw the setup with the chair. That's pretty cool. So can't wait to watch all that. I'll be at Dragon Con this weekend. Look for me at the Pulse Bar at the Marriott on Friday night. And on Saturday, I'm doing a panel at 4:30. Follow me at that Chris Gore, my social. I'll let you know what's going on. In an hour, I'm doing a live stream with Alan Ing. We'll talk more about Ahsoka. We're going to talk about the Metalocalypse movie, which I'm very excited to talk about the Metalocalypse movie, and a bunch of other stuff on Hollywood on the Rocks. I think we've got a filmmaker interview. So there you go. So That's what I'm doing. And Gary, thanks for having me.
Love you, man.
Love you, man, too.
I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon. Yeah. And take care, Mr. Chris. Wait, I'll be on camera. Bye. Bye,
Take
Chris.
care, too.
Later,
Safe
brother.
travel.
I'm going to read some soups. Stick around. Take care, buddy.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Okay.
Bye-bye. I'm going to stick around, finish up the soups here. Yeah, no Nooner next week because I'll be at Stonehenge. I don't know. I'll try to live stream. If not, we'll record a video from there. It'll be me, Adam, Quarter Black, X-Ray Girl, Mrs. Nerdrotic. I don't know who else. Maybe some other people, but that's the crew who will be there. The Krigler will be there. MK Solid 82 for $1.99. $1.99. Please confirm a V-neck meetup with Mr. H in the UK. I mean, I guess does he wear V-necks? Well, he can get away with V-necks because like he's a bodybuilder, right? So I guess that's acceptable. But V-necks are pretty gay. Yeah, I'm not. No, I just don't wear them. They're not for me. I'm not a V-neck guy. The tighter the collar around my neck, the better. Don't know where that comes from. It's just the way it is. But Mr. H, like, yeah, doesn't he like lift weights? It's not lifts weights, so he can get away with that stuff. Rudy for $5 says, "Hail Gary, you should totally have Wendigoon on Giants episode of Forbidden Frontier. Hail Chris, I'm also trying to escape from LA, Kurt Russell style. Hell yeah, you might get your opportunity someday if a meteor falls in the Pacific Ocean. Thank you. We will try. Marshall Ballschwed for $2. Got a ticket to Empire Strips Back. What's it like? It's great. It's the best Star Wars I've seen in years. It's a lot of fun. It's a burlesque show. It's a Star Wars burlesque show that's extremely creative and well done, including R2-D2 throwing out those dollar bills to a stripping Princess Leia, which is great. Floral from Under a Rock for 5 Canadian pesos. The Philbronis are going hard defending stuff. Gravity in Space. Also, did you see The Marvels is only going to be 98 minutes? A good call. That's a very good call. That's a very good call. Yes, it is. Thank God. Thank you. Thank you for not making it 2 hours and 10 minutes. Droner for $1.99. Check out my first minute Ahsoka animated review. Is it on Droner? I will check it out after the show. I will check it out. Dave Sargent, Yellow Flash did a video, FNT canceled. Why? Oh, he's by the way, hail Yellow Flash. Hail my brother, Yellow Flash. He looks really a lot like Jay. No, he doesn't. For making it, I haven't seen the video yet, but there's been, it's not on YouTube, by the way. It's mostly from, it came from Reddit to TikTok, and it's a few people. It's a few people complaining about a clip. This is going to happen once a year. Because my philosophy on FNT, good or bad, is you can say whatever you want. I don't tell people what to do. But ultimately it's my responsibility because it's the show on my channel, and I apologize for nothing, and I have no control over what people say. And FNT is supposed to be, you're hanging out with your friends at a restaurant, in a comic shop, at a video store back in the 90s before you're going to a movie and just shooting the shit. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's no different from a conversation with your boys, or in, maybe not as salty as some waiting rooms in the gamer sphere, but something like that. And this is how I used to talk with my friends when we went to movies. This is exactly the conversations that went down in my comic store. Okay, same thing. One of the nicest things somebody has said to me in a long time. A lot of people say nice things, and I appreciate it. Emo Gonzalez. Emo is an artist, a fantastic, brilliant, talented artist who I knew way back in the day from my comic shop, known him for over 20 years. Hadn't seen him in a long time. Ran into him at Comic-Con. It was good to see him. And I hadn't seen him since I started the channel, so I was like, oh here we go. And he just said, give me a big hug. He's all, good to see you. He's all, dude, you haven't changed a bit. And I'm all, thanks. I appreciate that. I appreciate hearing that. I did. So hail emo. Good dude. Offer Dave for $5. Ahsoka episode 3 was super cheesy, barely a non-contrivance. Yeah. Cheesy is fine. I have no problem with cheesy. It's just all the other stuff. The bland acting, the bland storytelling, the lack of stakes. Did anybody think, the few of you who watched it, did any of you think Ahsoka or Sabine were in danger at any point in time from the little Pekingese? Jeremy Shelton for 500 Japanese pesos. The one thing that can save Ahsoka, more tribbles. Right. Eric D. June for $2. It is Eric July's nemesis. FNT will fall. Mwahaha. Many have tried. The hilarious thing is that's not even close to our saltiest. Our saltiest episode is fully monetized. Is fully monetized for a half an hour. We were talking about pork balls and British cigarettes. John Thomas for $5. Chris, done a review of Golda. I liked it. New info on 73 War. Have you seen the Ingrid Bergman one about her? I will try to save that for Chris. That is a Chris question. Captain Truth for $2. But thank you for the $5. How does it feel to be exposed as racist IP leak? Well, I don't feel anything. I don't feel any kind of change. I don't feel bothered. Because I've been called that since I started criticizing Doctor Who. I don't care. Diano for £5 says, do you think the rumor is true Disney is going to do She-Hulk season 2 when strike is over? God, I hope so. God, I hope so. Oh, no, I don't. I don't. There's no deals that can be made right now. They can, again, develop a lot of things and talk about development, but without writers and actors, you can't make shit. And you can't even start making shit. Fair Ear Samra, thank you for spelling that one out for me, Lady Greymaster. I probably made it worse. Is this the No Man's Sky game I keep hearing about? The stream? Yes. Apparently, lightsabers are only fatal to white men, says Johnny Scribe for $5. Yes. Super Grova. Hail, Gary, your next emoji needs to be a trash can. We will do that. Johnny Scribe. Apparently, I read that one. Ade Robertson for $4.99. I'm still laughing when Mahler called the uncle in Blue Beetle Uncle Pentejo. I know. Uncle asshole. That's so good. Jonas J. Campbell for $2. How dare you make me agree with the French? Nin10 Larry for 1,000 Martian pesos. Is that Chilean? I don't know. It's not about money. It's about sending a message. You're absolutely right. I saw a Fox News clip. I was watching somebody's clip and it kind of fed into this. And the name of the Fox News clip was like, woke Disney doesn't care about the money or the store or doesn't care about the money anymore. It's about the message. They essentially said that. I'm like, God dang. Like it's really reached the normie of the normie mainstreamy stuff. Fox, whatever. Controlled opposition for the most part. Judah for $5. Rings of Power isn't horrible when on mute. Yeah, it is. But I think Disney for the trash because it pushed me to Battlestar Galactica. There you go. Battlestar Galactica is good stuff. Solid Gold CEO for £5 Meanwhile, Blumhouse makes bank investing in bigger and smaller movies without blowing hundreds of $millions. Yes, Blumhouse is a money printing machine. Would Sony ever break away from the MCU for Spider-Man? JL for $2. Yes. I think they haven't made a deal yet. We have yet to hear about Spider-Man 4. Will it be involved in the Marvel universe? Will it set up a Sony Spider-Man universe? Quite frankly, Sony doesn't need them anymore. They really don't. Wagon Burner for $5. Everyone missed Ahsoka smashing transparent steel in episode 2. That's right. Star Wars doesn't use glass anymore, like Anna's paper issue. That's Star Wars girl, Anna, by the way. Taker 610 for $2. Nordstrom's in San Francisco closing. Disaster. I saw the video. I've been to that Nordstrom's. I've Christmas shopped in that Well, the former Nordstrom's. Yeah, that was part of this huge redevelopment plan 15 years ago, a little longer, in downtown. When downtown San Francisco, you could walk around. I mean, you didn't want to go to the Tenderloin or on 6th Street, but everywhere else, perfectly safe. Perfectly safe. You walked around. It's not occasional homeless person, but it wasn't. Union Square was fine. The Metreon back in those days was cool. Yeah, it's you know, I remember talking about this when I was there. I started recognizing some of the policies that were going like south. And I'm like, you know, I think San Franciscans don't think they can turn into Detroit. They think they're impervious to that because San Franciscans have a lot of civic pride. They absolutely think they live in paradise. Especially the ones who were born there. Many of them have never left that 7 square mile area of downtown. Lots of them don't know how to drive. And they think they live in paradise. They live in a prison. Now, I came from San Diego. Not as well known as a city, but a far more beautiful city. At the time I left it, a cleaner city, a better run city, gorgeous beaches, more spread out in the Southern California fashion. And there's parts of, you know, like North Bay in San Francisco is beautiful, like Marin County. That stuff is beautiful. But you know, East Bay, sorry to anybody who lives there, it's a dump. It's a dump, you know, for the most part. It's horrible. California has turned into that now. Your prison has a lot of conveniences and the most beautiful weather, but it's still a prison. It's still a prison. Have you heard of Pauline? Disney is producing a show where a teen who is impregnated by El Diablo himself, a teen who was impregnated by the devil. Sounds like a Disney Plus show. Checks out. Talicus for $5. I mean, on Disney, that's like a horror movie I would watch, or a comic book I'd read. Not sure about a Disney show. They'll probably make the devil like, he's not so bad. Fletcher Williams. By the way, there's a movie that already happened. It's called Rosemary's Baby. Fletcher Williams. I suck at games channel for $1.99 says al pastor tacos, pork, and pineapple. Try them. Oh, so there is pineapple in the pork tacos might work. It might work. That sounds like some ensenada stuff, Cabo San Lucas stuff, you know. Billy D. Shilliams for $4.99 came for Ray Stevenson, waited, got a 5'2" chick and a 60-year-old powerless witch and the worst helmet in all of science fiction. I know, right? Ray Stevenson's so wasted. And oh my God, I miss him. Rest in peace, buddy. Wheel of Woke, says JoJo for $5. Yes, it is. Snail's World for $2. Are you and DVD going to do a UFO show again? Probably not. I got a UFO show. We did a UFO show, though. Billy D. Shilliams for $4.99. Came for race. Oh, I read that one. William for $4.99. Looking forward to these movies. DF's. Oh, David Fincher's The Killers. Yeah, I am definitely looking forward to The Killer. It's The Killer. So it's based on a French graphic novel of the same name. And it's a David Fincher movie. So, yes, I will be checking it out. It's got Michael Fassbender in it. And I am a fan of Fincher. Big fan of Fincher. So Yeah, we'll see. I will be checking that out. MS Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm probably going to skip that one. Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. And who's MM? Michael Mann's Ferrari. I'll watch that. Love Michael Mann. For all the Chris Nolan heads out there, all the like for Jeremy, Michael Mann was Chris Nolan before Chris Nolan. Okay. Fucking Heat, one of the greatest movies ever made. These are the movies I'm hyped for. Yeah, like Michael Mann, I'll watch. Martin Scorsese, hit and miss with me. I mean, I recognize him as a prolific filmmaker, but seriously, hit and miss with me. But as far as like, Seven, Fight Club, Zodiac, even The Social Network, Fincher's good. Alien 3, fucking hated it though. Hated it. All right, we got a few more messages here and then we'll wrap up. Crazy Clown Town has been radicalized for 5 months. Says, hello, my fellow gamers. Thank you. Jacob, welcome to the radicalized level. I appreciate it. Darius H. Jaloja for 1 month. I love Luke Skywalker growing up. To see him quit and be a hermit was disappointing and disrespectful. That's you're being very kind and good for you. It's good to be kind, right? Oh, Jesus, it did it again. What is going on with my camera? It probably got unplugged or something. It probably got unplugged. We're almost out of here anyway. Burton Bella has been a Jaloja member for 11 months. But yeah, back to Darius. You're being kind. Good man. They prison raped Luke Skywalker. That's my that's my description of it. Barton Bella. There are no offensive words, only offended people. You can only get happy in the same pants you got mad in. Thank you. I've been talking about this forever on the channel. People have had bad experiences. Life isn't fair. People have to deal with adversity differently. Some people are just, born in unfortunate situations. Many of the problems are economic and generational. They're not really linked to an identity, but the powers that be that want to maintain control have made it a point to put us in demographics to keep us fighting against each other so they can keep making money and keep us fighting over stupid things like a fucking massive flop like Blue Beetle, which used a demographic for marketing. They exploited a demographic and then were as stereotypical. I don't care who fucking made it. It was as stereotypical as possible, and we were parroting that. That's it. That's all. We weren't saying anything worse than the fucking movie was saying itself. And saying that I can't say it based on my skin color, I'll say what the fuck I want. There are things I won't say, but they're my decision. It's my decision not to say certain super offensive terms because I don't want to do it. Because, there's certain things I don't find funny. Other people might find them funny, and that's fine. I'll draw my own line. Thank you very much. I'll draw my own line. And if that bothers some people, you know what? Anytime you go on the internet and you give your opinion on something, you're going to bother people. How deeply? That's ultimately their problem. My obligation is just to be honest. And you know what? And I try to be funny when I can. Doesn't work all the time. Doesn't work. But if we can't laugh at ourselves, self-deprecation, I think, is one of the greatest qualities of humility, right? Self-deprecation, realizing that I am a fallible human being. I make tons of mistakes. I'll make one today. I'll make one tomorrow, and it's all right. It's all right. But don't take yourself too fucking seriously. All I know is I saw a lot of that in prison. I saw a lot of the my people stuff in prison. And you know what I also witnessed? I also saw them betray their own people. I also saw them do horrible things. And that's all the people in there. All the people. Because you're on your own. All right. There's nothing wrong with having pride and culture. One of the emails I got was why people have no culture. And that's definitely a something that's been pushed for a long time. I think there's a lot of people in Europe, and a lot of people like to conflate that with the bad guys from WW2, but we're talking about ancient history, Vikings, Celtic, lots of culture. So, but that's the belief. The belief is the colonizers were just void of anything, and they came over and took everything. And by the way, some of those colonizers were from Spain. Spain. It's just history. It was fucked up. History was fucked up. But let's try not to repeat it. Let's try not to repeat it. You know what? People have and will say all kinds of shit. And dude, the Legion of Memers is brutal to us. And it's great. It's funny. Life's too short to be worried about what people are saying. You know? So I would say, you know, like, hey, thanks for having our back. I appreciate it. But, you know, if people are, you know, want to legitimately have an argument over what was said about a movie, that's one thing. But trying to conflate it with I don't like an entire people because I didn't like a movie and because I made a couple of jokes that they made in the movie, no. Nope. Okay. We're going to wrap it up there. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all. I really do. And I will be back Friday with Little Platoon on Friday Night Tights, which, as far as I know, will be airing right on this channel at 3 p.m. Central. And I don't think TikTok can do a fucking thing about it. Isn't that nice? Well, I mean, I don't even have that app on my phone. I don't watch it. I'm getting messages. But I always get messages. Yeah. No new video will be out soon, I guess. And yeah, I'm just going to prepare for the UK. But again, thank you all. Thank you to the Modrotics. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat and donation. You help keep the lights on and keep people around like X-Ray Girl, Quarterback Garrett, and Perry Chan. And we'll see you next time. Ciao, Bella.